Hi everyone, it's Heidi from Flutter by Heidi. I'm Heidi Smith, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based here in the United Kingdom. And today we're talking about using up your DSP. So I set a challenge to the group that I'm in the other day to find ideas to use up your DSP. So this is pattern paper from Stampin' Up, 12 by 12, and you might have Stampin' Up! Or you might have other brands as well. And we all tend to buy it and love it, but you always end up with a few sheets, or I always end up with a few sheets that I just aren't so keen on, or perhaps just don't get round to using. And as a demonstrator as well, I need to make some room for the new stuff that's coming in. So one of the ideas that I suggested to people was actually to make a pocket card. So this paper that I'm going to use is actually one I won in a prize. It's called Garden Lane, and I don't really use green very much. Those of you who follow me will probably notice I don't get green very often. Christmas maybe. So I've really struggled to use this. And it's a shame because actually the papers are beautiful. I mean, I do love this paper here. It reminds me of olive trees. I actually quite like this paper here because this one reminds me of tiles. There's some lovely patterns on the reverse, as always. With these, you get some lovely floral patterns. So, you know, there's actually quite a bit in there that actually, you know, if you look at all these patterns, I can see, I know a lot of people will absolutely love them, but I've struggled with them. So I thought this is a way to use some of those up. And as well, this is almost the card that never made it to video. I think this is actually my 4th attempt. It was at the end of a day of filming and nothing went right. So, yeah, so as I say, this is almost the card that never was, but it's made. It's hopefully well, she says you won't know, but this might be the last attempt at making it. So this is the paper. I better show you what we're actually going to make, hadn't I? So these are the cards. Now I was using woven threads, but I managed to use up mine. So this was my sample, and then this was video 1 where I cut it wrong. So the lovely thing about this pocket card, double pocket card, is that you actually create 2 pockets in the front, one of which I've done to hold a gift card, and another one to add a bit of journaling or maybe a photograph. And on the inside, I've put a panel for you to write what you want on it. And I've decorated it with these panels here using the Wildly Happy. Now, I'm not going to show you the colouring of those, but I'm just going to talk to you about creating panels for the fronts of cards. We had one of our lovely fellow demonstrators talking to us about colouring with blends. And so I was practicing my blend colouring, and rather than just, you know, kind of practicing and then not using them, I actually cut out some of these panels from the Stitch So Sweetly die set, and added my stamping onto there, as you can see. The other image, here we go, other final images of the bunnies. Look how cute are they. So this was kind of, I thought, well, actually I could use these on the front of these cards. These would then be perfect for new arrival, maybe just somebody who loves nature, you know, the foxes, and I tied that in with terracotta tile. The black and white really goes with pretty much anything, and I was using the retiring colours as well, because the woven threads paper uses all the they're not retiring, they're the in colours which are carrying over, but the paper is going to retire. So woven threads is retiring, but these colours are carrying on. So those two, so yeah, I can't remember what went wrong. On one of them, I didn't press record. fairly standard. On this one, instead of cutting it across the bottom here, I cut down the middle, but it does show you how you can make a different variation. So when we come to it, you can choose, if you wanted to make this card, you'd cut up the centre, and I've just used the tailored tag punch to add a piece of card into the back there for you to write your message on. You could still add a panel in the middle. You could use these as a mini album as well. Great for popping photos and notes in, carrying in your handbag. So this is, never mind 3rd time's the charm, how about 4th time's the charm? Let's see whether I can actually manage to make it all the way to the end. I am recording, so that's a good start. So a piece of designer series paper. One thing you do need to make sure with, or you don't need to make sure, but it looks best if your paper is not directional. So that means whichever way, up or down, it works, because obviously you're folding it in half, so you're going to get some of it which is actually sort of upside down. Next, you need to cut a whole piece of paper. I'm going to work in inches today just because this is 12 by 12 paper, but the measurements are, you'll just need to trim it slightly for centimetres. So 12 by 12 paper, you're going to cut at 8 inches. If you're working in centimetres, trim it to 30 by 30 and you will cut at 20 centimetres. Then the scoring is really simple. You are going to score at 4 inches on the short edge. Remember, paper, don't press too hard with your scoring. And you're going to turn it and score on the long edge. That would have been at 10 centimetres. You're going to score on the long edge, so you'll keep your cutting blade well out of the way, pale grey blade. You're going to score at 6 inches or 15 centimetres. So that's our scoring. I'm then going to make a couple of marks with a pen, she says optimistically. Hoping that I have a pen to hand. Oh, I have a Stampin' Blend to hand, that would do fine. So on this front, so you want to, in this top right corner, on this edge, you're going to mark at 4 inches. Because this is, you're then going to score it. So I'm going to just mark the edge at 4. Then line up your little mark, which I can see, but you might be struggling to see a bit more. Just reinforce that crease just to help. So line that at the top there. Line your mark up here. And if you come just marginally away from those, and then score the diagonal. And that will then work. And obviously this one works well because it has actually got a diagonal on it, and that's our very front pocket. Okay, so when we fold it up, that's going to be our very front pocket. Now we then want to cut on this one here. So on this particular one, my measurements of this, okay, this particular one, if I remember, I think it's about 2 1/4 that I can't believe this. Okay. It is a video that was obviously clearly never meant to be made. No, it's halfway, it's 2 inches. So on this bottom panel, across this corner, we're going to mark at 2 inches. So we turn it here and mark at 2 inches. And I'm going to actually measure, this will just go off camera, but I'm going to measure on the very bottom and make a mark at 2 inches. So I've got 2 marks at 2 inches on each corner. And I'm just going to cut that diagonal. So line that up in the middle of your channel and cut. Okay. So there we go. So your paper, you've got a score here and a cut here. And then this is where I went wrong before. If you're going to make the double pocket card, you want to cut on this section. So this is the one where you haven't done any cutting or scoring, and you're just going to cut down the middle. Now if you're happy with your trimmer and it's nice and sharp, then you just cut using your trimmer to halfway. If you're at all unsure, or if your trimmer's a little bit playing up, then you can just trim with your scissors. But the important thing is that you've got you've just got that nice cut across the middle. So I'm going to pop my trimmer away just for a moment. We have got a couple more panels to do, but you are going to end up with a piece of paper that looks like this. So scored and folded, cut diagonally, cut horizontally, and then we just need to glue these down. Now for speed, I'm just going to use a bit of Tombow on this particular panel because it doesn't have to hold too much. So I'm just going to add some glue. What that does is it reinforces the front of the card for you. This next one, again, you want something fine down the edge there. Now if you've got some fine glue or a fine tip, just run a little bit down here. So make sure you've got your vertical fold nicely done, and just run a tiny bit on the inside and up this outer edge. And you'll see I'm putting it on this piece, which I shouldn't have done. So I did say, didn't I? So great thing about Tombow though, first of all you can remove the excess. Little post-it note. Leave that to dry and that will then rub off afterwards. It is just a... yeah, I'll just give up now, shall I? You feel sorry for the people in my class, don't you, you know? So then, all you need to do now is I fold this and I just reinforce using my bone folder. There we go. Okay. And there we have, we will have, almost our pocket. So what we're going to do though is just add a little line of glue. This is where I wanted it to be full. So a little line of glue up there and a little line of glue across here. And she's done it again. Oh dear. Right. Now, of course, you know, this is why I don't edit, because I just kind of say, well, do you know what? This is what happens in the real world. We're out there crafting, and you know what? We all make mistakes, and it really doesn't matter because we can correct these. And that's the great thing, big advantage of using Tombow glue, is that it will rub off. So there we have the front of our card. Opens up like so. So what we want to do is reinforce this back panel, because at the moment it's just DSP. So all I've done is cut a piece of Whisper White card, which I'm going to add to the back there once I've stamped it. So I'm going to use my Pear Pizzazz and just the sentiment from Woven Threads, in fact, because that's what I was originally using. And I'm using my grid paper to line up, wishing you a day of love and joy. And then there's this pretty swirl element, which you could just add wherever you like. So, you know, although it's not designed to go with this stamp set, you can see where actually it's a floral, because it's a leaf-based stamp set, you can actually add that. Really, it will go well with, a scripty one will go really well with anything that's kind of foliage-based. It's got that lovely kind of, the only thing I wouldn't use it with is perhaps something that was geometric on both sides. I think on this one we can get away with it because it's actually it's got the foliage on the reverse side. There we go. So add that, and that just adds a nice bit of firmness. Okay, so then I'm going to use a bit of ribbon around, and you need to add your ribbon at this point. Now you don't have to add ribbon if you don't want to. But if you're going to, add it now, because again, otherwise, so decide where you want your ribbon to be. I would add a bit of glue to attach your ribbon on the front now, rather than waiting until later. And again, depending on the width of your ribbon, you might want to use some tear-in tape, or you might want to use a bit of glue if you want. I tend to use the fine red tape on mine, and the only thing you then need to do is just keep an eye on the position of your panel for the front. So I'm going to use my fox panel again because I just think that's rather nice with that. So I know that if I put my ribbon across the bottom here, it's going to be covered up. So all I'm going to do is open that up and take a bit of tape and just add it. And I can use my pattern paper to line it up just here. Take that off. my ribbons, roughly speaking, in half, and just add that. I'm not going to glue it to the back, you don't need to, and I'm just going to add that panel to the front. Again, dimensionals, these are used just to lift it up, and it creates a lovely effect on the front of a card. And you could punch something out if you wanted to. But these stamps really are lovely to get started with colouring. And then just pop that panel on the front there. So we're almost there. All that's left to do is to create our insert panel. So what I've done is I've cut a panel that's going to go in the middle here, and depending on which pocket you're going to put it in. So the one for the back I made quite a bit bigger, so I made that one 5.25 by 3.5. The one for the middle section, I'm actually going to take it down to 3.25 inches, just because we've got quite a narrow channel to go in there. And I'm going to just take that down to 5.25, so 3.25 by 5.25. And you're just going to, again, cut diagonally on here, so you can mark at just over, so about 1 3/8. I'm just going to do 1 3/8. Hopefully that'll be about right. And cut diagonally. Probably 1 5/8 actually. But that's fine. You see, it'll work fine there. As long as you make the measurements the same on both sides, it will fit, because you obviously just need to get that same angle across there. And then all I'm going to do is use the same woven thread stamp set to create a little border panel there. And there's this little font here, so I'm going to pop that against one of my lines here to straighten up. Like so. And then in that pops, just pop that down. Right, I'm just going to get my bone folder in there, and just, there we go. My glue has obviously spread slightly. It will fit in. Right. Okay, it's not going to fit in. So all you do is just cut a little bit off the bottom. Nobody's going to know. So we'll pop a little bit off both sides. There we go. And pop it in. There. Will go in. So I don't know if I'll post this one just to show you that things don't always go right. This glue here will rub off. You can get glue erasers, but actually this the Tombow is designed that it will rub off afterwards as well. So as it's a dark paper, we're not going to notice it. So there you go, a double pocket card, chaos and confusion. So I do apologise for that, but it just goes to show it doesn't always go right. And there is a point at which you go, I'm either going to, finish recording this or not. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching it, and you'll come back and join me soon. If you'd like to purchase any of the products, pop along to my blog, flutterbyheidi.co.uk, and follow the links. And don't forget to subscribe to see what I'm up to next. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've joined in. Bye now.